Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the chocolate sweet stout because we're actually going to be brewing a batch of it. And as you can see, I have the Blickman, and you can probably hear it running in the background. It's about 7 a.m. on Sunday morning here, and the sun just came up. The coyotes are still howling out there, which is a little strange. They usually don't do that once the sun rolls up, but we had a really cool night here in Texas, around under 60 degrees, so and nice and warm in here right now, and with the Blickman running and everything else, and we've got some ventilation, so we're good. We should be good to go. So let me just show you what I did yesterday, because I have everything set up, ready to go. I just have to get the sanitizer, but I did the milling yesterday, and what I have is about, let me tell you exactly what I have. I sealed this up because you never know. But here's all the milled grain. I don't know if you can see it. There's some black malt in there, about 2 ounces. There is, I believe, 8 ounces of chocolate malt. So it's 8 ounces of chocolate malt. It is 2 ounces of the black patent malt. It is 1 pound of the caramel crystal malt 60, and then 6 pounds, 8 ounces of your regular two-row. So that's the grain. I've got the water heating up. So as soon as that's ready, we can mash in and get going on. This is a delicious beer. You won't be unhappy if you try it, because it does have, it is a sweet stout, so it does have some non-fermentable sugar in it, about a pound, and that's what gives it that kind of sweet flavor. It's really popular in the house, and it's been a while since I brewed it. It went quick. So anyway, that's it. Let's get the boil going, and we can talk a little bit more about this as we go along, as far as what the hops are and the yeast and everything, so that you'll have the whole recipe. All right. That's it. All right, at 167 degrees in the mash tun, the water, we are going to mash in all of our grain. And this is 2.79 gallons of water in here. I know this is probably a little hard to see, but one thing that's nice about making this chocolate stout is that the grains, unless you're really reckless with pouring them in, there's really not the kind of dough balls you get when you're using something like corn, as I do in that Miller High Life ale recipe. So this is pretty straightforward. So I can really, I can start to pick up on some of those malted grains, the chocolate malted. There's a really nice smell to it. Okay, and then I believe we cover this for about an hour, maybe a little bit longer. And as soon as we're done with that step, then I'll be back, and we'll start to do the first runnings to get them clear, and do our fly sparge step. So back in a couple minutes. Okay, the mash has been sitting for an hour, so we're going to collect the first runnings now. And remember, the whole point of this is to get clear fluid coming out of your mash tun without a lot of grain in it. So if you go slow, you want to go slow getting the fluid out, so that you don't start creating a lot of vacuum in there and drawing it down to the valve, the grain down to the valve. So I don't know if you can see that, but there's a lot of grain coming out to start with. And the whole point here is to get it where it's clear, and then you can start going into your brew kettle and doing your fly sparging. At least I fly sparge. I know some folks batch sparge, but I do a fly sparge on this. So I'm probably going just a wee bit too fast here. Okay, so I'll keep doing this, and when it runs clear, we'll come back and start to sparge. Okay, we are running clear now, and we are doing the fly sparging, so let me just pan up here a little bit so you can see it. And again, the object here is to get the rate that's coming through your grain about the same rate you're dumping down into your brew kettle. So I try to keep about 1 inch to 2 inches of water on top of the grain bed. That seems to work good. And ordinarily I'm able to run for about 1 hour to 1 hour and 15 minutes doing fly sparging to get all the sugar out of those grains. So we'll be back when the sparging's over, and we'll get on with our boil. All right, we fly sparged for about 1 hour and 20 minutes. And we're in the brew kettle now, and we're waiting for it to boil, and then we'll add our first set of hops. Okay, our rolling boil is started, as you can see. So we're going to throw in, these are Tettnang hops, German Tettnang hops. They're going to go in for 60 minutes. Now, 30 minutes from now, I'll be putting in the sugar, and after that, we'll boil for 30 minutes, and dial this down just a hair. And then we'll have a last set of hops added, which are the Cascade hops, and those will go in for the last 10 minutes of the boil. So we'll be back in 30 minutes to add the non-fermentable sugar. All right, we're 30 minutes into the boil, so let's go ahead and add the lactose, the non-fermentable sugar. And once we have that in and stirred up, then I'm going to add the wort chiller. And when there's 10 minutes left in the boil, I'll add the 1 ounce of Centennial hops. Okay, so we will be back when there's 10 minutes left in the boil. Okay, last 10 minutes of the boil, so we're going to add the 1 ounce of Cascade hops, and when that is done, when the 10-minute boil is done, I'm going to terminate the boil, and I'm going to start the wort chiller, which you can see I already have in. And when it's cooled down, we'll come back just for the aeration, and that'll pretty much wrap it up. Let's aerate the wort. Usually do this for about 20 seconds. As you can see, not a real high flow of oxygen into it. Okay, I'm going to put the wand in the sanitizer and grab the yeast. Alright, I'm going to pitch the yeast in here. I'm going to put the lid on and the airlock. And that's all she wrote for this batch. Be back in a minute with a recap. That's it for brewing the sweet chocolate stout. Everything on that seemed to go pretty flawlessly, and I got up this morning and I actually brewed another batch of the Miller High Life knockoff. So now I've got about 96 bottles of beer in the pipeline, which ought to get me somewhere. This is the Kelch, so cheers. That's another fine beer. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Next time, I don't know, we'll probably have to come up with some other sort of brew to make. I've been hitting the old standards, but I have a few other things that I've been wanting to put together, so hopefully we'll come up with something new to try, and I'll share the recipe with you. And until then, I hope you guys have a great Homebrew Wednesday, a great week. Cheers. This has been a Matty Boy presentation. Say bye-bye, Matty.
Bye-bye.